Hello everyone, I'm Major Jip, and today I'm going to be doing an upgrade on this little cheap dual subwoofer and mid-range tweeter speaker thing. I bought this at a yard sale a long time ago. I think it was either like $10 or $20, something like that. And it's a cheap thing. You can buy them right now on Walmart's website for I think $30. So certainly not the best quality. Now, I have been using this thing, just to test amplifiers and stuff for a while, and it's been serving me well, but one of these speakers, I believe the right side speaker, has a bit of a coil rub sound to it now, so I don't know if I've overdriven them, pushed them past their limits, or it could just be that they're garbage and, started to wear down. So, I didn't want to put anything too expensive into this thing, but I did want to get it back up and working. Usefully anyway. So I went on Amazon and I found for $11 a piece these Pile Gear 300 watt peak power. I think they're about 150 watt RMS, so I'm probably not going to handle anywhere near that really. But as you can see, they're going to be yellow, and I do have one out of the box right here, which I just smacked a camera. Perfect. Now let me focus in on that. Yeah, that works. One interesting thing is they do have this interesting design on the... I think it's a rubber surround on these, actually. In fact, it probably does say it somewhere on there. Specially treated rubber. Yeah, alright. Interesting. One thing I will note, they do have a pretty beefy magnet on them. Now this isn't all magnet, because it does have a plastic cover covering the main magnet, but it's a pretty beefy, it has a bit of weight to it too. You can see some flicker on there. It has made in China, of course, for $11 a piece. You would expect nothing else. And it does have a little vent for the coil, which is interesting for something this cheap. So I'm just going to take this thing apart, throw them in, and see how it works. Actually, I kind of want to see what these speakers look like. So, I'll be back. Okay, I just thought I'd make a note, just in case for some odd reason you're doing this yourself, that these bars, just after some pulling on them, pop out. So, and they're just little metal bars, so I'm going to stop hitting the camera. Alright, so I've taken out the 4 screws that hold the speaker in. First thing that comes off is this little speaker cover here. And then the speaker itself lifts out. Oh, there's not too much to that speaker now, is it? The speakers I ordered were 6.5. Oh, it does have a little vent hole for the coil. That's at least something. There's no markings on it though. That's not a good sign. But like I said, this is cheap. And alright, so let me compare that to the new speaker that I'm going to be playing. I mean, the cheap Pile ones look a whole lot better, I'll put it that way. I don't know if that's going to reflect performance at all, I'll have to see, but this, well, looks like a cheap subwoofer. So I guess I'll grab out my soldering iron, since it looks like they soldered that in place, which is good. I think that's better than using the cheap connectors to some of the Chinese things have that fall off the speaker. So I guess I will grab my soldering iron and heat that up. Alright, so my iron should be at least hot enough to get these cables off. I mean, I could technically just cut them, but maybe not. Of course, this is going to be lead-free solder. Oh, there we go. They didn't actually solder on the tabs. They soldered it sort of where the copper coil attaches onto the post from the speaker. That's a bit odd. Alright, got them off. Now I'm actually going to solder these new speakers, this new speaker on off camera because it's going to be a bit of an awkward position reaching around camera, so I'll be back. Alright, so I just soldered those leads on. Not a perfect solder joint, but it'll do. These wires are incredibly thin. There's very thin strands of wire on them. So that's not a very good thing. Interestingly, I thought there would be a gasket that wrapped around the speaker to mount it onto the box. But if you look at the old speaker, there's no gasket. So I guess it just uses the sort of rubber material over the, which is probably going to be like polyboard or whatever, to make a seal, which is interesting. Another point to cost-cutting methods. So hopefully this will fit. The speaker descriptions on this speaker originally said it was a 6.5, and it looks like it's lined up. Good. I guess let me screw that back into place. Alright, so I got that one speaker screwed down. Like I said, if you're doing this, make sure you get those nice and tight because there's no gasket to wrap around the speaker. Then again, don't do it too tight because then you're just going to strip it right out because this is just thin board. I mean, I could have used that, but that would have involved taking the rubber around this out. I can't be bothered. So I'll just stick the bars back into it. I mean, it looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks like a speaker box, I suppose. As long as it works, I really don't care. So I guess I'll do the same thing to the other side. Alright, I'm back. As you can probably see, I got it hooked up to, actually, that really cheap stereo amplifier from Walmart. It was like $15, $20, something like that. So it fits well with the cheap speakers, really. But I have the bass pretty much turned up on this to give them a good test. The loudness is on. And let's see what they sound like. I'm going to play probably the same music that you've heard in many of the other videos, the royalty-free YouTube stuff. So, anyway. What's funny is you can't actually peek out the amplifier itself. You turn it all the way up. Well, I mean, technically, it probably could be the speakers, but I'm hedging the bets the amplifier is the cause for that. So, as you might be able to hear, I would hope, anyway, it sounds pretty good. Actually, it does sound a little bit better than the original speakers that were in it, so it was well worth doing. So, hopefully you found this interesting, and hopefully you can hear me over the speakers. I'm entirely not used to recording with this. But anyway, thank you for watching. Major Jip signing out.